Hello, my name is Terry Fredericks. I want to talk about my history a little bit and where I come from. It started years ago in the 50s when I was born. I will say the middle 50s. So I've been many winters living on this earth. I come from a little community called Twin Buttes on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. When I was growing up, I remember we lived in a log home, a one-room log home. We took our baths all together. I had 5 siblings then, and we had a total of 7 at the end. But we'd stand in line and we'd get in a round tub. The water was heated up on a coal-fired stove with a chimney. We all slept in that one room there. We had like 3 beds in there, and we all doubled up and whatever, and that's how we grew up as kids. We thought, we didn't think much, we just thought that's how it was for everybody. And this was in the latter 1950s. Into the 1960s, I got old enough to go to school in Twin Buttes Elementary School. And that's when the first time I started kind of getting out around people, because we kind of grew up in the hills. We were out down by the Little Missouri, way out west of Twin Buttes. My father was a professional rodeo cowboy, and he started building a ranch back then, and that's where we grew up working that, chasing cattle and learning at a very young age. And one of the things, when I was 6 years old, I was already steering a vehicle so he could feed cattle in the wintertime. And back then, we didn't have the equipment that we have today. We couldn't even afford that because jobs and money was hard to come by. Life was rough. The winters were extremely cold, the winds. And I remember my dad's brother, Ken Fredericks, worked at the Rhodes Garage up there in Twin Buttes, and he used to get us parkas, these Army parkas issued, and we'd every once in a while get one, and they were great for out riding, because they'd go into a little deal with fur around it, and I'm sure the older people remember those things. But when it was 30 and 40 below with wind chill factors, when you're out chasing a few cows down the road and you'd have to get off your horse and walk because your feet would be about frozen, it was tough. It was a tough life, but we didn't know no different back then. We didn't have computers, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have all this stuff, these changes that have come our way here in these new eras. I always look back at every 50 years how much progress has been made. Because even though I say 50 years, I was alive and watched John F. Kennedy get assassinated. I watched him send the first shuttle to the moon. And now here we are with independent people trying to fly spaceships to Mars. And that wasn't that very long ago. We're at a village here where we're sitting in, is the Mandan village. And this is Fort Lincoln. And this is where a lot of my family come from, back in the day. My grandmother was Catherine Medicine Stone. That was my father's mother, and she was a Mandan. His dad was John Fredericks Sr., and John was a Hidatsa. And so I have a lot of relatives off of that marriage, and actually before them on the Hidatsa side, on the Fredericks side. It goes into the Halls, all the Fredericks, the Packanaws, the Lincolns. I can go on and on with the relatives and fathers and brothers and sisters and grands and all that stuff. But now, we have grandkids, and I have a great, and I'm thinking of them, because when I grew up on Fort Berthold, I went to this little school there in Twin Buttes. It was just like a box, a square thing. It had probably 40 kids in there, if that, total. It was kindergarten through 6th grade. And after we graduated there, we were bused to Halliday. back in the day. And then I want to say that when I was a little guy, because, I was 10, 11 years old, we were cutting hay, mowing, I was driving tractors and stuff and going to the fields, and we'd go through, and we'd go up in the Twin Buttes there sometime and go through there on the way to the field and, and stop. And I remember as a young man, I used to watch or look at, I don't even know how to say this, but I was infatuated with Grandma Mattie Grinnell, Grandma Annie Eagle. They were alive back then. I remember seeing them in their tradition. They always, kind of looked the same all the time. They had long dresses on, almost down to the ground, and they had their scarves on that covered their face, and they're always bent over or hoeing or doing something in the garden. And that was, as a young person, it affected me, in a way that I wouldn't realize till later on in life, to understand where they come from in their times. As I'm sitting here talking to you today and asking you to hear what we have to say for the betterment of our future. And we'll get into that a little bit later here. But as I was growing up, we took, our baths in a tub in a line. We didn't have electricity. We had the old lanterns. We had coal, and we'd have to go out and haul the coal in the morning, early in the morning, to get the fire going, or wood, to get it started. And then they'd put the coffee on and start boiling water to do dishes. That's how I grew up. That's what I knew, And then today, we got, and actually I was down there when in the hill there, down at the old place I call it now, because that's where we grew up, all 7 of us, and some of my other brothers and sisters that come after me. And I helped my dad and one of my grandpas build a brick home down there. And it was just a big old brick. It was probably, I want to say, 40 by 80 house. But to me, that was a mansion, And as we got older, we lived in there, and we had, everything there. Our horses, we broke horses. We rode all the time. We spent hours and hours riding. In the springs, we'd make our gardens. Our parents would have us on our hands and knees in them gardens. They'd have potatoes and corn and all kinds of vegetables and onions. We had a little bit for, we'd get some commodities because, we were never poor. I didn't really know what poor meant, until I got older, and things, inflation and the way the government treats us, things are different today. And I feel, that from then, when a handshake was a man's word, integrity was everything. We had good leadership. My grandpas were on there from Twin Buttes. We had two of them there. I remember Grandpa Ernest Stone, Medicine Stone. I remember John Stone, his brother. And those were brothers to my grandma, Catherine Fredericks. And they looked out for us. They drove, from Twin Buttes. We were the furthest segment to Newtown, because of the flood there. And that flood happened when I was a baby. So I didn't get there, I don't remember that, but I experienced it, I guess, as a 1-year-old, So, and so that affected our life. And that separated our reservation. So Twin Buttes is called the South Segment, and we'd have to drive 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending upon the weather, just to go see to the BIA office in Newtown, which Newtown came about from Elbow Woods, and there's a lot of history there, and I don't, my elders living today can tell you more about that than I can because they experienced it, but I'm an after effect, and I want to keep moving on, with my life and try to get into an area where, and one of the things I want to talk about too is religion. My grandmother grew up in a boarding school. She went to school there in Tombstone, in South Dakota, and they weren't allowed to speak Indian. They got their mouths washed out with soap. They got beat. They got, and it was really, really tough on them. And this comes from my grandma. And she said that she didn't want her kids to be really speaking Indian. She wanted, what she's seen was that education was the new battleground. And so she really pushed the kids and the generations of us into education. And she was always really proud, later on in her life and stuff, and that, besides professional rodeo cowboys and cowgirls, we also got to, she got to witness lawyers, doctors, people in film, and it just really made her smile and brightened her day that she had people of her underneath her that come into all these professions, and she was so proud of that. And I watch all our young people today, and I watch people my age today, and what I really don't like is I watched a lot of people my age and a little younger pass away here, especially in the last 4 years. I mean, it's and they're dying. I think and I kind of feel that because it breaks my heart and my will as we get older, that I feel like opportunities are taken away from us from their tribal government, and we lost our ability as a people to be able to regulate, or else to remove a councilman or a chairman or any people that are not representing us as a people in the correct way, in the method, in the ideology of today's world. And excuse me, because I fumble once in a while with my words and stuff like that. I'm not a great speaker, but I'm here talking today on issues that I believe, along with a lot of people that I hear today, yesterday, and we're going to hear more tomorrow, if we don't start changing the way we are living, and hold our people that we elect in there liable and credible, and meet these standards, because if they aren't representing us correctly, how are we supposed to live with a good heart and a good way and good mind? We have drug issues, we have alcohol issues, we have all kinds of things. And I believe, from my personal experience and stuff, when people don't feel good about themselves or what they're doing, or opportunities are taken away, they have good ideas. Everybody has a good idea, and they're kind of swept aside. When they go in to meet with the council and stuff. I've done it myself on a couple different things. I know that feeling, and then and then it just kind of drains you, and then you're stuck in a rut. They keep you kind of in a rut instead of helping you, give you a leg up. They're kind of stepping down on you, and they may not even know it, because they haven't, the council is who I'm talking about, may not even realize what they are doing, because they have never experienced outside stuff, running their own business, having the education to understand today's world, to compete against these big conglomerates out in Las Vegas, or going to Washington, D.C. to represent us, and they think that they're doing the correct thing, because they don't come and speak to me or my people, my relatives, you, about what is supposed to be what we want them to represent, as far as all of us together. And so I'm asking, and I'm hoping today, through this video and what we're trying to do, express our information, get it out to you, what we feel we need to do to represent us in a better fashion. And we hope to have a referendum, petitions, whatever cases comes and arises, because we're going to be in a huge battle, a big battle against our representatives who are using our money against us to hire their lawyers, or to do whatever they think they get away with, or they want, they think they're represented, they use that oh, this is the people's money. I've heard that one too many times. It's people money, come to the people. And let us tell you how, when we bring something to you, think about it. Think about what we're saying, because when we come with a business plan, we come out with the whole thing, how it pays and gets back. It's your responsibility. It's the representative's responsibility to help that person. Whoever that person may be, an enrolled member, help them, give them a leg up. Help them in their education, whether they're starting out in college, starting out in going to law school, or being a doctor. The parents, the people off reservation need the help. We have the money that's coming in. Put the correct amount of money into the people's fund where it belongs, because that's where we can grow off the interest. We don't even know what's in our accounts today. We don't have audits that have been completed. We have misspending that we're finding out. The misspending comes from stuff that we're finding out after it's already been spent, or it's been figured out a way to misinform the people through, I want to say, we had a non-disclosure agreement, so we couldn't tell the people. I done business, I know that, and that's false. That ain't how you do business. That ain't how you represent us, the people. We, the people. You need to come to the communities. You need to get in contact with everyone, all enrolled members, get an opinion. If you can't figure out how to do that, well, let some of us that know how to do that for you. Come in and work with us. Don't just work for yourselves. In ending here, in where I'm coming from, in my youth, I'm older. I feel good in my heart and stuff, but I feel sad because of opportunities that have missed. And I'm getting on the elder side of stuff now that, I'm tired. And I know a lot of people my age and older are tired, and they want somebody to stand up and whatever. And what we're doing here is trying to build the road to change the future for our future generations to come. And we'll get into the other things of the education of the resolutions, the 7 resolutions. We've handed, I personally handed it to the tribal council by mail and by hand delivery to a council meeting in May. No, I want to take that back, March. I think March 8th meeting. And so the chairman, the council, and they were all aware of it before I handed that to them, but their excuse was it hasn't been legally reviewed yet, so they could not move us forward as far as our requesting answers to 5 letters that we also personally sent to them, that I hand delivered to them, asking the treasurer for reports and audits, asking for transparency in all areas, asking them for where Section 17 funds, asking them, for information that as a human being we should be able to look at and see how our money is being spent, because it's not their money, and the federal government needs to understand that we, the people, are the tribe, not the 7 councilmen. And we're going to have to stand up and make a note of this and do that through the resolution and stuff, the road that we are forming today and progressing into the future for your kids, your grandkids, and our generations to come. Or it's not going to be really a good world if we don't do this now. And I'm sorry to say that, but I shouldn't have to be sitting here and doing this. And so I'm with the Red Owl group, the committee, and we will all be talking and visiting on this. And we want you to join the Red Owl group, the deal, and get ready for the petitions and the resolution, and be ready to vote. Sign your signatures. The off-reservation will also have to get their petitions that will come off this website that when we send it, but the petition will be on there, and you'll have to get it notarized. So remember that, and then we'll have an address for you to mail that in. And so we need, there's, gosh, I want to say 12,000 voting members, and 3/4 of them live off the reservation. So we want everybody. If you don't vote for this, then I suppose you agree with the current situation. But I believe there's many of us, and the bulk of us, that don't, on and off the reservation. And with that, I want to thank you. Dokra Tsagits, Haruk Niki Daba.